Hello and welcome everybody to the Mo.re.Bricks channel. My name is Mo and I didn't think this was gonna take this long. Basically, I made two videos before this one about the same set, the CADA Master Series C61048W. And unlike many other series I did in the past with Lego architecture sets mainly, I had to start by deconstructing rather than building the set in the first place. Reason being, I bought it used off eBay and it was only partly disassembled. So I thought, okay, this can't be this bad. I saved a lot of money on it, as I told you in the previous videos, and I thought I'll film the deconstruction myself. Let's do one or two quick takes on it and then I'll be done with it. And it turns out it was a bigger job than I had expected in the first place. Let me show you why that is and how it looks right now. So this is my desk, and if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know it's not the smallest desk in the world, it's also not the biggest, but usually I have more than enough space to do anything I want on this table. It's like 140 by 70, I think, centimeters, that is. So 1 meters and 40 centimeters wide and 70 centimeters depth, basically. So this is what it looks like right now. And it is rather crowded. I do have two of these sorting trays right here. There is a second one. And as you can see, there is quite a lot of black Lego Technic pieces and bricks that kind of make up the foundation of the set. A little bit of lighter and darker gray parts too. And then we have a lot of stuff. Whoops, let me just set that down without breaking it. A lot of these lift arms, the straight ones or the ones that are at an angle, something like this, like a pretty standard Lego Technic like pieces. So we have all these beams and arms, and yeah, there's two of these basically Tupperware type boxes that I put those into. Didn't sort them by size or whatever. All the parts you can see over here are basically, let's see, no, it doesn't work any better on any other camera angle. Okay, so these parts are the ones that don't appear too often in the set, like once, twice, or 3 times at max. So I didn't want to throw them into a single compartment, whoops, to take up a lot of space. But also I wanted to keep them separate and don't throw them into any other compartment with, let's say, these gears right there, so I could easily find them. So a little bit of the green accents for the exterior of the car. And speaking of the exterior, I didn't think this was going to be such a big part. Initially, most of the stuff was taken apart quite nicely into smaller chunks, and the bigger parts that I had still left were the exterior of the car. So all the white kind of fenders, wheel arches, something like this, those were still in pretty big chunks. Like some stuff was still put together. You could identify the bonnet or the trunk or whatever. And yeah, so I thought, okay, this doesn't make up that much of the car. In the end, it's just the exterior. So I thought I'll just throw everything that's white into the same tray. Turns out it's quite a lot of white bits, and taking these apart took a lot of time actually. So I don't have any sorting going on here yet. But I do think that once I do get to that part of the build, I will have used up most of all the other stuff I have right here. So I should be able to do some sorting when I get to these white bits and pieces. So I'll just set these over to my other table that I have. Let me just show you on the other camera. In case you're tuning in for the first time and haven't seen the other videos, so this is basically the setup that I usually have. And as you can see, this table back here, that's not been there for any of the other videos. I had to add that on, so I had enough space for this particular case right here. I might rearrange a little bit so I have both of these trays in front of me, so I can access those pieces more easily. But I won't need the instructions, which is nice because they are humongous, a word I wanted to use for a long time now. Now I have the chance. So these are the two instruction manuals. I, as always, have the PDF files. Those were quite interesting to acquire from the CADA website. And whatever you might think of Lego as a company and the prices that they charge and what you get for those prices doesn't matter. because what they're really good at, I mean, they're a huge global company, and what they're really good at is all their website information and how easy it is to get to the right instructions, for example. So for CADA, everything is available, and they have a huge catalog, which is great, but getting to it is a little bit more challenging compared to Lego. But I was able to do it eventually, and yeah, now everything's here. It's a 7-part PDF, so 7 individual files for this model, and as always I have them on my laptop screen right here. And let me just pull up basically the first page that is made to tell you, or meant to tell you, which part of the manual is on which part of the instructions is made to represent what and what you're going to build with the different bags that are usually in the original packaging. I don't have that original packaging, but I will put this on the screen basically. So there is boxes 1 through 5 in this original packaging, and in those boxes 1 through 5 you have bags that are not numbered, but they're building steps A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. H is the last one. And so what it tells you right there, I'll put this on the screen on the bottom left corner for you guys. I'll put this on the screen. So first thing we're going to build is the drivetrain, probably. The second thing is then most of the chassis and some of the exterior of the car. Now, what, that's A and B. Oh, C, D, E is, yeah, so basically the entire construction underneath. Then we have F, which is some exterior bits. G and H focus entirely on the exterior of the car. So by the time I get to the white bits, I have basically everything underneath the whole structure, most of the functions, because there's quite a lot of those built out. I will pause at some of those steps as always and show you interesting bits about the build, show you parts that I haven't seen before. I mean, we have quite a lot of those actually. So if you just want to look at something like this, for example, this is actually a chrome part, and I think it's at the rear of the car. And oh, I actually haven't taken that apart fully. So this is what it looks like assembled. There's 2 of those in the box right here. And we have some interesting pieces. Let's use this camera to show you more details. So this is a combination of a pin, like one of those little nubbins that isn't a pin on both sides, but like a shorter one on one side. And then you have this long rod sticking out at the other side. And I first thought this was like 2 pieces shoved into one another. But as you can see, the slits on either side, they actually go through it. And this is like, you can't take it apart. It's one piece. And you have 4 or 5 of those in this build. Then we have some very interesting, like a double length black pin. Usually they are half the length. Let's just have a comparison right here. So if you look at that, this is how they usually look, like exactly half of the length. Or if you want to look at it like this, then you can see it better. Yeah, exactly half the length right there. So there's 2 of those, and I mean, steering wheel, pretty standard stuff. But yeah, some interesting bits and pieces here and there that I haven't seen before in other Lego Technic models. So this is going to be quite a cool build, I imagine. I've never had that's actually the only one. This might be because I bought it used, and this is actually a different color in the original. But this is the only dark gray pin I've ever found in any model so far. Don't know if it's intentional or if it's an oversight, if it should be a black one or a light gray one. Don't know, but I'll find out soon enough. And yeah, I'd say we'll get this thing going, start building the CADA Master Series C61048W Fantasma 1/8 scale supercar. And I hope you stick along for the ride. It's going to be quite a long one. I don't know how many individual videos I'm gonna do on this, as many as it takes basically for you not to fall asleep in the process and still have fun watching the entire thing. So we'll stop here and there, and yeah, I would say let's go, and for you guys, have fun. Here we go. All right, so that was quite adventurous. I needed to get some pliers there for a second because I attached a part, or I put an axle through where it wasn't supposed to go through yet because I hadn't put in the other two pieces that needed to go in a very tight spot. I thought I'd do an interruption here because of building for 1.5 hours now, and it's a good kind of midpoint because a lot of stuff is already going on and happening. Let me show you where we are at right now and what I've done so far. So this was the first contraption that was right in the beginning of the instructions, and I would think that in the end this will all have to do with the different adjustments that can be made to spoilers and doors and whatnots. Not quite sure. This is probably not the gearbox. It has a very interesting construction right here. If you can see it right in this centerpiece, these are actually the disc brakes, and usually if you look from the side right here, these are going into the wheels basically to look like disc brakes, and then they attach to their steering and the drivetrain in some matter. But right here, these are driven by these rubberized wheels inside, and so this basically makes them spin in the end. So if I turn this right here, you can see them spinning, but counterclockwise, one and the other one is clockwise, so they're turning against each other. And if you look at it from the top, there is quite a lot of gears, and this snail drive right here also moves basically along with it, and you have to pay close attention that everything is in the right spot. So these gears have to be on the right teeth, or in the right tooth, one singular, teeth plural, and quite a lot of gears moving here. One of this large one over there. I'm not quite sure how this is going to attach to everything else, because basically the build of this stops and then we move on to the first differential, which looks like this right now. So the diff is in here, and you can already see this is definitely gonna attach to the wheels. And I think this is the rear suspension, because I read in the instructions, or in the kind of about the model section on the website, that there is a kind of reinforced suspension in the end. So these two will basically attach to the frame right here. Haven't done that yet. And then there's a third bar that will stabilize it right here. And this is what I thought is a broken spring, but it's actually not, because something else will go in here to stabilize it and go across to the other side. So very interesting. The build is a lot more challenging than the Lego Technic models that I've done in the past. And I read about this model that it's quite the challenging build, even for CADA standards. It doesn't apparently have any major mistakes in the instructions, which has happened on the first supercar that they did, the blue, I think it was also a Bugatti version, or some other supercar, Lamborghini could be. And that one had a bunch of mistakes in it. It was super hard to build, and like putting it together was a nightmare. So that's why I skipped that and started with the red supercar, the Italian one, emulating the Ferrari 488. But this one doesn't apparently have any of those flaws, but it is super difficult to put this together compared to Lego Technic, because, I mean, the individual parts and how they're put together, that isn't the issue at all. But what you can definitely say about it is that it doesn't give you too many hints as to where these parts attach. There are some indicators, like red arrows pointing like axles towards the holes they have to go through, but there's always quite a lot going on, and sometimes you have to kind of guess and look at it very closely and see that everything matches and fits. And in this very case right here, it was like some step was just skipped, it seemed, and I didn't see what was going on, so I made a mistake. Had to get the pliers, because I had to get an 8-stud long axle out of there again, which is super high friction by the time it goes through all these cross sections. So that was kind of hard, but so this is basically where we are at right now. two larger pieces already built. One is going to be the control for the functions, it seems, and the other one is part of the rear suspension and drivetrain. So we'll see where we go from here. This is it for this first build. We are at A135 right now, and this goes all the way to, let's see where A stops, A224. So A174, A224. Quite the ways to go. Let's see. Yeah, here we are. 130. There we are. Okay. Yep. So that's it for this video right here. I'm not entirely sure if I will probably reduce the number of videos, put them together in longer videos, so you have multiple steps after one another you can skip to with the time markers down below. And in any case, if you don't want to miss the videos, the next parts of this build, then make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.